Hey, what's up, everybody? Hopefully, everybody's having a good start to their week. Me and the boy are just taking a little walk. Say what's up, bud. I love to get him out and everything, but it's already 80 degrees here in Yuma. Oops, sorry, I shouldn't have told you. My wife trips out about that. But hopefully everybody's having a really good day. Just wanted to continue a little bit with my story on how I got into addiction and everything. And I'm gonna do another prison story, my second sentence tonight. But so I left off a little bit with you know, switching finally over to heroin, smoking it. And that's all I did for, I would say, at least, I think the first year. I was always very scared of needles, very, against it, just like I was against heroin. That would never be me. And I don't know what it was, but I think so I know it was at my friend Eric's house the first time I ever used a needle, and I couldn't even do it to myself. I was just scared eshless. But I know I was sick. I remember that, and I think he said, yeah, the only way I'm gonna let you get better or anything is you're gonna have to use a hypodermic. And I was like, all right, whatever. When you're sick, it's what it is. And all I remember is I was looking away, but right when he got it in, I looked over and I could see the blood draw and everything. And before he could even be halfway through the entire shot, you could feel it coursing through your body, and I could almost taste it. It was intense, but not intense to where it was scaring me. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was if you could write it, and I'm not trying to sound weird about it, but if you could write a love poem about using drugs, or a beautiful song, at that moment, I would have been able to do it. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced for a long time, other than, now when I know what real life is and my child being born and stuff. But at that moment, being, early 20s, that was what I was looking for. And it was all bad after that. I went immediately to Walmart the next day, or Walgreens, and I had a box of 100 hypodermic insulin needles, man. And it was a wrap. Not only was I doing heroin, I was mixing it with cocaine at the same time, calling it a speedball, and off to the races, man. And it was nice for the longest time because I didn't have to use as much, but I built a tolerance very quickly. That lasted like a month, and I was using way more. But it was just, I don't know, that I always remember that first hit of the day, right when you wake up, and then a little bit of coke on top of it, man, you're ready to take on the world. It's insane. I worked on it. I was cool. I was aware, and I was a heavy equipment operator, so I was in a huge bulldozer. People's lives were on stake. But I was good, man. I was kicking butt. We were making a lot of money, and I was spending a lot of money. I remember for the longest time, like I said, I used to have ropes for veins. Like I could probably throw a needle up in the air and just set my arm out, and I would have hit. I was able to do it while I was driving, everything. And I remember seeing these other people that couldn't hit for the longest time. They'd sit there and poke themselves and poke themselves and poke themselves and get frustrated and do it for half an hour just to get that one hit. And they would do it over and over again. I'm like, dang, I'm so glad I'm never going to be like that. Only takes time. It only takes time. Some people it never does, but it eventually happened to me, and it sucked. But like, you know, I was always like, I had hypodermics everywhere. And I remember my mom. That was when, because my family had started knowing about my addiction then, and that's when you know, I had gotten in trouble with my friend with the stolen products and got put on probation for the first time. So I was on drug court and everything and going in and out of jail, so it made it that much worse. And like I said, I didn't want to quit at that time, so drug court was nothing for me. But that's when my mom, she found him in my truck one time or somewhere, and she was like, oh, you know, you're doing this again. And I could play it off for a long time without them knowing. They always thought I was good, especially when I was working and I was, you know, performing well. And she was like, I want you to promise me. And at that moment, I had told her, I can't promise you ever again, because you know, I can't guarantee I'm going to keep that promise, and I don't want to break your heart anymore. And that's when my mom was like, wow, you do have a problem. And I was like, yeah, 100%. So I never promised my mom I would stay clean after that. Still, even to this day, with me going good and everything, that monkey's always there. That monkey's always still on my shoulder somewhere, hanging on my back. I'll still every day, or, you know, not every day, but once in a while, get that whisper, hey, Josh, what would it hurt? One time, what would it hurt? Everything. I can't just do it one time. I'll lose everything. I'll lose what I worked for right here. I'll lose my son. I'll lose my wife. I'll lose everything. It's not worth it. At least nowadays, I can, you know, that back then, that's why, I mean, I didn't have kids for the longest time, and I usually stayed single a lot. I would, you know, hook up with chicks and stuff, but I didn't want to bring them down my path. I knew I was a wreck. And so it made it that much easier. The only thing I was hurting was really myself and my family, but I said I wouldn't promise my mother anymore. It was just sad. I was content with what it was becoming. But I knew I didn't want to bring anybody else down. Definitely didn't want to have children and have them like see, like how I got to see my dad was an alcoholic all the time and breaking promises. I wasn't going to be that guy. And you know, I'm glad so far right now I am not that dad. What's up, guys? Look at all these dogs right here. Holy crap. Holy dogs. But sorry. So, you know, that was just a little bit the only time I'm really, like I said, the only time I ever really been able to get clean is you got to put me away. I can't go to a rehab facility. I can't just kick it on my own. Like, you have to put me in jail or something like that, or go to prison for a little bit, because and I don't get sick that bad. I'll have like a sickness for like maybe 24 hours, but in there I know I can't get out and I can't get anything. If I'm on the outs and you put me in a rehab, I'll break out of rehab. It's voluntary. I'll get out of anywhere. If I'm out of money and that's why I can't pick up, I'll figure out a way. It might sound horrible, but I'll do whatever I need to do. I'm ruthless. It's just what it is. Hold on one second. Sorry, steering. And that's what I've come down to realize, you know, and it makes me a shittier person. And I know people, like I said, that's why I really wanted to start this, because I know a lot of people have addiction in their families and stuff like that. Don't give up on these people. My brother gave up on me because he thought I was always going to be this scumbag. That person that he loved when I was, you know, I'm his little brother and everything, has gone away. And I'm not. I'm always here. But if I called him right now and said, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing really good, he still would be very wary and not trusting, you know, and that's fine, but he just cut me off completely. Don't do that to your loved ones, people. 100%. All right, we're about to get up in this Dollar General really quick. We always go to Dollar General. I don't know if you noticed, it's like the only place that's near us. I'll come back in a little bit, but stay with the people that are going through it. For the addict that's still out there suffering, we love you. Come home. Everybody that has somebody, you know, just keep them in mind. Thank you, guys. Peace.